scortazzini per Nedved, Pirlo, la conclusione in rete, Andrea Pirlo, un gol pazzesco, Del Piero, Alex, Del Piero, di Pogacar, Pogba, rete, un gol incredibile, Pogba fa esplodere lo Juventus Stadium.
First time with the new intro video. Thank you, Colo99. Ciao tifosi bianconeri. Although it is certainly harder to be a continued Juventus fan on days like this, but welcome to episode 331 of the Turin Giants Podcast. We are coming to you live on YouTube about 10 or 15 minutes after the final whistle blew in the Stadio Diego Maradona in Napoli. And we are here with our post-game reaction, analysis, perspective. I suspect it will be a lot of venting and anger and questioning what we just witnessed. I am your host for this episode, Kevin, and I am joined by Frederic and Jack. Before you unload and just lay into the display we just saw, Frederic and Jack, why don't you just say hello and welcome the people who have joined us on the live stream?
Thank you guys for joining once again in a group therapy session. Thanks for being here, I guess. I have to say the same to you two guys. Thanks for being here in the darkest of hours, because it's truly like I'm at a loss for words, and that doesn't happen much. But I'll just kick off by saying I crashed and totaled my car 2 nights ago, and that wasn't even half as painful as watching this pathetic, shambolic, utter excuse of a performance.
Jack, how are you?
I'm all right. It's kind of hard to follow that up, but I'll just go with, I guess, misery loves company. So that's why we keep showing up and keep talking about this team and keep supporting this team.
Well, thanks for being here. It's been a couple episodes since you've been able to join us, so obviously great to have you back, albeit not under the best of circumstances. But just a few quick things before we get into it. Obviously, if you're joining us live on YouTube, thank you for being here. If this is your first time with us, a subscribe and setting the alerts would be fantastic. This is obviously available on all podcast platforms as well. Taking 10 or 15 seconds just to give us a 5-star rating would mean the world to us. And again, if you haven't followed our YouTube channel at Turin Giants Official, please, that's something we continue to focus on, and we appreciate you spending some time with us. Although we wish we had just a better background to this episode, coming off of the three straight victories and hoping for something that we'd be talking about a fourth, but obviously that is not the case. So I'm putting together kind of an agenda and some talking points just as a framework leading into the live, but it seems like that's going to go out the window, and I think we just need to start with just the immediate reaction, and I think that allows it to flow through in kind of a raw manner, and it's real and it's going to be authentic. And I apologize, Jack. I'm going to start with Frederic.
Yeah, go for it.
Because we know he's going to come bundled with some choice words, and I think our the comments in the chat here are waiting for that. So without further ado, Frederic, just how do you even put what we just saw into words?
I don't think you can put it into words. And to summarize it, I booked my tickets to go and see the team play alongside you, Kevin. And I look very much forward to meeting you in real life. And in all honesty, that will be the highlight of my trip because I don't even care anymore what will happen on the pitch. Because for me, from this night out, the Juventus that we know now, or the Juventus that should be Juventus at this point, I don't care anymore. I really just don't care anymore because you can make mistakes, you can mess up being, a coach, being a CEO, being a player at times, granted. But repeating yourself and even surpassing those worst moments that you've been through almost feels deliberate. I get the starting lineup thing. Well, I don't get it. I think nobody got it. Okay, but that's one issue. But you'd expect the players to, put a bit passion on the line and put some fire on the pitch, some willingness, some eagerness, some determination, some motivation. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And for me, and this is just my opinion, this doesn't warrant any support from me anymore. I'll watch the games, but my passion, the reason as to why I'm watching, why I'm following, why I'm intertwined in this Juventus world, it's all gone down the toilet. And this was the epitome of the bullshit that we see each and every season. Here's a coach that doesn't know what to do, has a bunch of players that don't know what to do either. And we just mix them all in a pot and shake them out come match day and hope something spontaneous happens. If you see what we laid down on the pitch today, you should be embarrassed. All of them embarrassed. You're not worthy. There is not one player on that pitch that make me feel as if they deserve to wear that jersey. Not one of them. No, not even Kenan Yildiz, Mr. Wonderboy. Oh, he scores today. Other than that, his performance was shambolic once again. Let's just state the facts how they are. There's not one player in this team or even in the squad of 36, whether they have 36, but everything about them is pathetic and lackluster. Starting with Digre, ending with David, whoever, I don't care. The coach is at fault, I agree. But having the same issues being or happening over and over and over again, regardless of the coach, regardless of the formation, regardless of whatever, it's top to bottom. It's one cesspool. And be honest with that and come out and say we messed up once again. Stop with those bland interviews and we are Juventus. No, you're not Juventus. The players before you were Juventus. You don't even resemble the shadow of a Juventus player, nor a coach, nor a manager, nor a physio, no nothing. I don't even think that the towel boys are capable of wearing the name Juventus. This needs to change. We need to start afresh, torch the whole place down as far as I'm concerned, sell everyone. I don't even care anymore and play with the next gen next season. I'd get more satisfaction out of that watching a couple of young players develop themselves and fight for their spot than these pathetic halfwits who are paid millions. And I've had it. I've simply had it. And those are my long 2 cents. I apologize for taking up so much time, but this is just something for me that's inexcusable and unacceptable. No matter the outcome, no matter a draw, a win, or a loss, the mentality, the shape, the performance, the lack of enthusiasm, it's embarrassing. It's an embarrassment to us, in my opinion.
Well, Frederic, first and foremost, we are happy you are safe. I know you're still feeling some consequences and pain from the incident you had earlier this week, but good to see you. Sorry that this team did not put any joy into your being in life to round out the weekend. Jack, I'm sure you're feeling very kind of similar reaction and emotion here. Anything kind of incremental just to get us started that Frederic did not touch on that you want to call out?
First of all, the trouble with going after Fred is I get so into what he's saying, I forget to think about my own points. Right? Fred is really well put. I think there are so many things wrong, but the thing that underlies all of it for me is this idea that we're a football club, that we're a team, because we don't see team anywhere. We don't see team on the field. We don't see unity within the coaches, or you mentioned the physios with all these injuries. We don't see team in upper management. There's no sense of working together to achieve common goals. I'm not even talking about winning at this point. I'm talking about putting a team on the field that's balanced, that can compete, that can make the fans proud and give them something to cheer for. I don't see any of that. And I know we'll talk about Spalletti and some individual players, I'm sure, but just this idea that we're a team and a football club to me is completely lost. The way we came out in the first half, the last 10 or 15 minutes, the way we ended the game, were there bright spots? Sure. I'm a silver lining kind of guy. I try to find something positive to talk about, but today was really tough. To see my poor 10-year-old son get excited about, oh my God, Bologna dropped points and Como dropped points and everyone dropped points. He's like, we've got a chance, and then to see his heart broken by, minute 15, it was hard to watch, and he sits there dejected. And I can understand why, right? He doesn't know the history. He knows the history from me, but he doesn't see it on the field. 2 weeks ago, he made the comment about picking the player with the biggest balls. Did he have to pick a Juventus player? And then today, just watching him hang his head and walk away, it just passes out of bounds, long balls straight to the other team. Just no ideas going forward, no ideas coming out in the first half. So again, I think the foundation of the whole house of cards is the lack of team from the upper management to the towel boys.
Well said, guys. I know, Frederic, you have a history as a football player, and you understand the game at a different level than I think Jack can. Well, at least I can speak for myself, but maybe Jack, if it's fair to put you in that category, and probably most of the people listening and in the chat with us right now. I played when I was younger, and I played through high school and also a little bit casually in university. I remember when I was in high school, we had a coach who said the worst way you can describe how a team plays is if you use the adjective soft to describe athletes and a performance, that you were soft, that you showed no aggression, that there was no continuity, that it's sloppiness, maybe even a level of fear, lack of determination, no clinicality. We're going to talk about Spalletti. We're going to unpack this starting 11. We're going to question it. We're going to talk about Spalletti's from the choices he made to his body language. But we can't overlook the performance of the players on the field. And today it was soft. And that's embarrassing at this level. At this level.
That's the perfect word to use, Kevin.
Yeah.
And soft all around.
To pick up on what you just said, Kevin, what was well put, is in my experience that when you have a group of players, there are two things in the beginning that you need to focus on, and you have to make that choice. Either you have technically very gifted players, very talented ones, so you choose that route and you try to outplay the opponents in a technical manner, whichever that is, whichever suits your players. That depends on the players as well, but you go for that way. If you see that you have a squad that lacks that technicality or that surplus in terms of footballing skills, then you need to create an identity or a mentality and start from there, because those are your two basics. That's basically your starting point there. And what we're seeing now is a team that just doesn't have that starting point, and they're just randomly trying to fit in and play professionally or play well professionally. It just doesn't work. And we can talk about the team and the consistency of the team. and how the team was placed in certain positions, but we can't remedy that. So it's my opinion that the people in charge need to speak out and say, look, guys, this team is poorly structuralized. We're going to have to change it. We will change it. But this season is going to be season of mostly disappointments because we lack our basic, the basics that we need in order to grow. And I'm fine with that. But please don't come out and say like, "Oh, we have a good team." I saw Chiellini in the pregame. Like, Chiellini, who are you anyway? I'm sorry, but I discuss this with people, and people say, "But yeah, but he has a degree, he has a master's." Oh, well, I'm fine then. And a master's in what? In marketing? What is your actual job description? What do you bring to this team? Because I see him talking to the Zone and Sky Sports every game, but what is your function? Because if all is fair and we choose to interview everybody, hey, let's interview the kit man. I mean, this is so illustrative of how Juventus is poorly managed that it's not even funny anymore. There are literal, Belgium is a small football team, but there are commentators in Belgium who are laughing at Juventus at this point while watching Club Brugge or whatever. I mean, in my, it's yeah, I could go on. I'm just gonna pass the mic to Jack because for me, it's whatever at this point.
Fred, we are that meme with like the woman getting assaulted and everybody standing there with their cell phone and videotaping instead of anyone helping. Or the old lady getting assaulted now. That's what's happening, right? There's no one there to help her up. There's no one from top to bottom. It's really sad. I don't know. You guys want to transition this one?
Yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, we're talking through the deeper rooted problems throughout the organization. I don't know if that is the best use of time, or otherwise this is going to be an 8-hour podcast episode, and we're not going to solve anything. So I think, Jack, to your point, let's try and unpack a little bit from what we just saw and what we can dissect to the best of our ability. And let's look no further than the starting 11. If I'm to try and justify what Spalletti was thinking and putting out on the field, was that he did want to control the midfield when it was clear that Napoli did not have far from their first choice midfield on the field, and that he wanted to control the game, have numbers in the middle of the pitch, and the false nine thing, or not having a reference point, I struggle with that. But Jack, when you saw that 11, what's the first thing that went through your mind? Just the first thing.
Why? I mean, it's the first thing. But if I have to, if I unpack that a little bit, anytime someone starts a new job, doesn't matter what industry you're in, right, or what level of that industry you are, you need to take some time to learn. And it seemed like that was the approach Spalletti was taking. He didn't touch the 3-man back line. He didn't mess with too many pieces. He seemed to be willing to learn what little was working, and then start to work to implement his ideas. But to then go into the biggest game so far of your 7 games in charge, and instead of doing what you had been doing, completely flip the script, and not only maybe take a bit of the confidence away from a striker who may have just started to poke his head out and maybe work towards finding his feet, and put him on the bench to play a system that I don't know that we're really suited for, but to play a system that no one's really played in this season, to me made absolutely zero sense. Right. And I know we were texting and trying to say, like, well, what is he trying to do? Is he trying to win the midfield? Is he trying to confuse the back line? What is he trying to do? Because it just doesn't make any sense from a management standpoint of the players you've had and how you've been working with them for the past month and the direction you want to take the team.
Frederic, try and go into the mind of Spalletti, because these are choices he made. Right? No one forced him to do this. We didn't have David and Openda.
Fred, he wasn't trying to make a ball joke. To get into the mind of Spalletti.
It's just a nice coincidence. He wasn't forced to do this, right? I mean, David and Openda, to the best of our knowledge, didn't have a fever last night. They weren't injured. No one said Cabal needed to be out there for some reason. And I imagine as a responsible professional manager who has been doing this for quite some time, given that he's well into his 60s, he's been thinking about this. This wasn't a snap decision that he made on the flight this morning leaving Turin. What do you think he was actually trying to do? What was his thought process, regardless of how it played out? Try and defend it.
I think he was planning to bum rush Napoli's midfield, because if we look at the statistics, then the whole midfield of Napoli is either suspended or injured or whatever. And I thought that he was thinking, if I put a lot of people there, then I'll overpower them in midfield, giving me leverage over the control of the game. Little did he know that even the third and fourth choices of Napoli's midfield are stronger than our midfield. And this is mainly my main gripe with Spalletti or all the coaches. Why put such emphasis on the weakest part of our squad, which is the midfield? You have a certain amount of strikers, either being it, central ones or winger types. Use them to your advantage, because an Openda will always run back to midfield if need be, as will David, as will Zigrova, as will Conceição. Use that velocity. Why put so many people in a very tight midfield, knowing that you can't technically compete and even not physically? Because I think it was around the 30-minute mark before I fell asleep that I saw that a number of our midfielders were already gasping for air. Why they didn't even have the ball that much. So why put such emphasis on making that midfield so packed and trying to overwhelm Napoli when we're always going to lose that battle, no matter the quantity of the players that we put there? So I felt that was it was a rookie mistake. And it was the same mistake that he tried with Italy a number of times as well. And it didn't turn out well for him at that point. So I'm here left guessing why he tries to do that over and over again, especially in a crucial game. Because as Jack thoroughly pointed out, give David some confidence. Let him start. Why not? There's no point in putting Conceição there. If you could, might as well put David there and at least have a striker who knows how to handle a ball and let the team move up a bit in their own pace. Now you're basically just shooting yourself in the foot, thinking that either A, you're gonna over-empower yourself and bum rush Napoli in midfield, which is not a realistic target, or B, you hope for the best and think, well, if I put a lot of people in midfield and have control over the game, and if need be, and I can pull out a draw, then I'm fine with that. So you've lost even prior to commencing the game, in my opinion.
But Fred, I'd ask if your idea is to overrun Napoli's midfield, right? I go into the game as Spalletti. I'm thinking like him. I want to put players on the pitch that are going to overrun the midfield and make sure that we maintain possession and we can play in the channels. I almost don't even put that on Spalletti, because we should have the players with the talent to be able to do that, considering all of the injuries to Napoli's midfield. So I want to put some of this on Spalletti, but there's a piece of it that I don't. I don't know that the logic was completely flawed, because that was their weakest part on the field. Without question, they're missing so many players, right? That's a great place to attack them. So maybe that makes sense. So there's a good piece of this that I want to drop on the players' shoulders for when you have 5v3s and you can't win the ball back. We were 30-some minutes into the game, the point where you're noticing that they're gassed. We didn't touch the ball for 90 seconds. They were making us look ridiculous with inferior midfield numbers. It was just embarrassing to see.
And Napoli didn't play a good match. I don't think that they looked all that sharp. At the end of the game, I'm actually shocked looking at this because I didn't follow it closely throughout the match. 50-50 possession, how it ended. We had more passes somehow. What really stands out to me, though, and I think that's what shows the mentality that we did not see. Ground duels won. I'm just going to look at that stat only. Napoli 40, Juventus 26. Just shows the energy, I think, and the aggression that we lacked.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, Zach, Kevin, but even apart from that, if you look at, let's say, the first 15 to 20 minutes, there were players numerous times that weren't capable of just stopping a ball when they received the pass. Like,
sloppy. It was so sloppy.
There was
Amateur
no
hour.
controlled adrenaline. Like, and I'm trying to take it back and compare it to because I just played second division in Belgium, and you'd say that it's nowhere near the level of Serie A. But if I take the badges of the kids today, and you would have told me that this was second division Belgian, I'd believe you. Honest to God, I believe you. This was a sloppy, poor. I feel bad for people abroad tuning in, watching a so-called, great matchup in Serie A. Because if this is a great matchup in Serie A, then I think I'm gonna, get my boots out the basement, start working out, because maybe there's a future for me in there too, at my 42 years of age. Because this is embarrassing. And Napoli were poor, but we were even poorer. I mean, you think that it wasn't possible to do such a thing, but it's baffling almost. It's baffling. It really is. And I feel like you said, I feel embarrassed, in their place.
Yeah. I've been struggling to put this into words, and maybe it's coming to me a bit better now. So I just bear with me as I try to articulate this. So as you were trying to defend, or at least make sense of what Spalletti's approach to the match was, and thinking through, given the situation, given the intensity of what the stadium's going to bring to the situation, not just because it's Napoli-Juve, not just because it's Spalletti and Conte meeting for the first time, not just because it's Spalletti returning to Naples for the first time since bringing them the Scudetto, but just the difference in the quality of the players, despite the Napoli's midfield injuries, that we're trying to find a way to adjust. And there were a lot of criticism of Tudor at the start of the season on, like, what is this team's identity? And if Inter comes out flying high, we come out flying and score 4 goals. Or if we're playing against a Milan side who we know Allegri's going to play in more of a defensive way, so let's make sure that we're buckling down as well and lock tight in the back. We don't have a style. We have zero identity, and our approach to every match is, how do we cater to the opponent we're playing against? Instead of, no, we're Juventus, the most successful side in Italy, and still supposedly one of the stronger sides in this campionato. And we should be enforcing our style of play. Our opponents should be adjusting. Do you think Arsenal, Real Madrid, Inter, Bayern Munich are adjusting? And I know it's a bit outlandish to be associating ourselves with those clubs, but our history and who we should be should command that, even though we're in a very different state right now. Those clubs don't adjust generally. They have their style of play and they enforce it. Other teams have to adjust. It's just this team has been put together so poorly. The mentality of these players, is not up to the standards that we expect. And it's just, I'm going to use the word again. It is embarrassing. It's embarrassing that we are the club going into every game, adjusting to the opponent and not enforcing what we believe we should be capable of. Because I don't even know what that is.
And to, hop on that train alongside with you is the simple fact that maybe, because I get a lot of texts now from people and saying, and another one in the chat, Spalletti keeps playing it safe, as did Tudor, as did Motta to a certain extent. Maybe it's because these players are not capable of doing much more. Maybe we should look into that as well, because, if I try, and I'm not defending Tudor, Motta, or Spalletti or anyone, but if I'm just looking at, out of the contextualized way of looking at it, and I see three different coaches with three different playing styles in hindsight in the teams that they coached, and they all, took the safe route, which makes me believe that the coach doesn't have or doesn't trust in the players to perform what he wants to bring on the pitch. So they choose the easy way, or the only way that these players could be able to eventually pull out some kind of a performance. Because I said it on Bepe's cast as well, I think it's very strange that we haven't shifted to that typical Spalletti 4-3-3 yet. Tudor did the same. He stuck with this 3-5-2, even though that's his preferred formation. But still, the same thing with Motta. We can switch trainers all we want, and the end result and even the performances or the way they come across are the same. They're identical. So I'm having a lot of trouble, pinpointing the issues, because they appear to be so many that it's hard to digress and discuss where we need to start next. But for me, the players as a whole, I'm not going to talk about Spalletti, I'm not going to talk about Tudor, I'm not going to talk about Motta. The players lack that basis. And if you do that against the Cremonese, if you do that against the Hellas Verona, then you'll get surprised, once in a while, and you'll lose a game or draw a game. But if you do that in a must-win game against Napoli with 7 people out, a full stadium, like everything is set for your big, shall I put it, your big revenge moment, and you still don't get fired up, you still don't get hyped up, you still don't feel the adrenaline boosting and start playing at 110% when the first whistle blows, then I don't know what we need to do to light these players up. Maybe we should light these players up in the literal sense, because apart from that, I don't see any added value to them.
I liked your idea earlier. Let's play the next gen. Bring up Pedro Felipe, bring up Eli Mogale, bring these kids up, create some competition. I think that you were saying it on Thursday's show. It was either you or Zach, right? The next 4 games are going to tell us everything we need to know. I don't really know that we need the next 3. I think we can already move on, right? I think we already start looking forward. And it's not the coach. We've done this how many times? It was Pirlo, it was Sarri, we knew what we were getting with Allegri, right? Allegri 2.0. It's Motta, it's Tudor, all right, what's the common denominator here? Right? This isn't a difficult math equation to solve. Right? This is a player issue, this is a group issue, this is a team issue, this is a motivation issue. And it's, coaches have come in with different styles, right? They all have their different styles. I don't know that we really hired a coach with a true identity. Right, their own unique identity. You see that with Conte, right? You know how Conte is going to win. Not that I like him, I'm not advocating for him, but you see how he's going to win. I don't know how Spalletti is going to win, right? To your point, Fred, where is the 4-3-3? Granted, players are injured. I understand that. That's where we are now. But where is even this inclination to see it happen during a game a little bit more than we have, right? Instead of the 4 in the back. See 5 dropping deep, right? Instead of 4. We are always outnumbered in the midfield because we drop that 5th player. Where is his identity that we want to see on this team?
Yeah, but also I was talking about this with a Milan supporter, and he's very unbiased in that regard. And he told me even this morning, he said, well, I'm going to be honest with you, but if in your starting 11, you have players like Di Gregorio, like Locatelli, like Cambiaso, like I don't know the other name that he said. What do you expect to do? Where's your ambition? Because these are not players that are worthy of the name of Juventus. They're just not. And I'm not hating on anyone. And I know that a lot of people, I get a lot of DMs, even at the scoop, from why you're bashing Loca. But if you look at it objectively, and Loca might be a reasonably good player, which I don't, I don't get into that because to me he is one, but he's not the definitive player that you need at this moment. Di Gregorio is a fairly good goalkeeper, but not to that extent. Kalulu is a good defender, not to that extent. So these are players that we paid a lot of money for, we spend our budget on, and they're doing the best that they can, and it's just not good enough. So if you don't match that with a bit of extra motivation, a bit of extra mentality or whatever, or hunger, passion, fire, whatever you want to call it, then you're, dead in the woods. And that's where we are at this point. And I can confidently say that we can kiss the season goodbye as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but let me ask though, because I know it's not the same exact formation. Is Kalulu that much worse than Rahmani? Right? Is Coop Miners in this position that poor compared to Giovanni Di Lorenzo? Like, what are we talking about here? Where yes, the issue might be the attitude. It's not that non c'è la mancanza del talento, right? The kid, they can play. The players can play. But I don't see how it's coming together. Again, you said it, I mean, no progress, right? Progress out the window. We try to put band-aids on big problems. And there's no progress whatsoever.
Do you? This is like a quick question. Did you see like the last couple of games? Did you see any Juventus players apart from when they scored or whatever? Did you see them scream on pitch? Because I remember vividly, like an Alessandro Del Piero, who's the calmest player you can find in Juventus history in terms of emotions, almost fighting with Palladino at a certain time. I could still see Marquisio, I think it was Lichtsteiner having an argument or just shouting back and forth, getting each other hyped up. I could see Vidal doing the same. Even Pirlo, who's very introvert, pointing and shouting or, throwing the usual vafanculo at someone. I mean, it's that's the soul. That's the passion. We don't have that. And I'm curious to know, Jack, as to why that is, in your opinion, because
no, you know why you didn't see it today? It's because they couldn't effing find each other. There was a point in the first half where Yildiz turned around to yell at someone, and they weren't there because they weren't where he thought they were going to. I think it was Chico or someone. He turned around to say something, and he turned his head 3 times because the player wasn't in the position where he thought he was supposed to be.
Can we talk about Chico, Kevin, for a second as well? I don't know if we can get into individual.
Just like take a deep breath here for a moment. We're about 40 minutes in. We'll take us just a brief pause here, just to thank everybody who has joined us in the chat. Joe Sean 6, who apparently woke up at 6:30 a.m. So wherever you are joining us from the world, thank you. RB Comps 8328, Mohammed 1997, Ali. We have Theodore 2625, Il Capitano, DHE. We have Del Piero 109, our buddy Colo 99. If you didn't catch it at the beginning when you joined, we used the new video that you produced for us. So it was great. Unfortunately, it came at such a kind of a poor time, but that was a nice piece of work there.
We'll use it again at the end, right? We'll use it again at the end for the people that tune in later.
Yeah, we'll close. We'll definitely close with that. So that was great. Spalletti's post-game comments have been published here. It's going to pain me to read them, but why not? It's true. Napoli pushed harder from the start. We were too timid moving the ball around, then lost it cheaply, so they made us run after them. They are in good shape, so if you don't keep the ball, they make you run all over the pitch with their strength and quality. I feel Yildiz and Conceição can do these roles, but they pass the ball around well. Locatelli sat a bit too deep and didn't maintain the position I wanted in midfield. Then those two forwards had limited mobility, and we kept getting bogged down in the middle. We didn't pass it around quickly or make the numerical advantage count in the midfield. And then there's kind of if I stop on that, what we were talking about at the beginning, about him wanting to have the numerical advantage, to take it to them, to possess it, he did have a plan with this, but we were incapable of executing it against it. Now, I don't know how much of this comes down to Spalletti's ability to coach a system, coach the tactics and an approach to the match, or we just have dense, dumb players who can't embrace the coaching and put it out on the pitch. Frederic, I know you do want to talk about Chico, and he'll definitely get wrapped up into this, but essentially Spalletti saying we were passengers against Napoli, and the game plan we failed to execute. With those words, do you have any further thoughts or reaction? Jack?
Well, why not change? Oh, sorry.
No,
sorry, Jack, go ahead.
I would only say then why not play the 3-5-1-1 if you're that worried, which is maybe what he was trying to do, and it just didn't work. If your words don't match with what you put on the field, I don't know what else there is to say. You say one thing and then you do another.
Yeah, exactly. My thoughts. And why not intervene earlier, like you could have seen from the even the 15-minute that it wasn't working in no way, shape, or form. Why not intervene then? Why not pull somebody to the side then? Like that Cabal, I'm sorry, you should have been subbed after 10 minutes already.
Yeah.
You should have been subbed after 10 minutes. I'm sorry, but there's no excuse for that. And to hop in, because I just quickly glanced at the Locatelli interview, there's a say, yeah, we should have done better. And every
Okay.
Game,
okay.
We should have done better. It's unfortunate. We tried our best. We're Juventus. We need to win. All these bland sentences. Dude, fuck off. Start winning. Start playing. No matter the formation.
Be angry.
I mean, why? And like, if I was the coach now in a professional team, I'd say, okay, it's time for retiro. We're gonna shut down the press, no interviews. We're going to get back somewhere inside the Alps for the coming 2 weeks, say goodbye to friends, family, and whatever, because something needs to be done. We need to, pull up the emergency brake at this point, and that is my emergency brake. You guys don't want to show it on the pitch? Fine. We'll go into a 2-week training camp, a boot camp, whatever you want to call it, and at least then maybe my point will come across. But now they all go like, yeah, we did our best, but didn't work out. Such a bummer. Hey, let's go out and eat and enjoy and laugh a bit. And tomorrow on the training pitch, we'll have Weston McKennie running out and making a joke, singing Christmas songs because our social media marketer tells us to do that. Man, fuck off. Be angry, be ashamed, be Juve worthy. Say that in the press. Say that it's my fault. You're the captain. You're the captain for a reason. You wear the armband. Say that you're disappointed in your squad mates and in yourself. And this is unacceptable. Apologize to the fans, the people who made it from Turin or Milan to Napoli to watch such another shambolic performance, the people that pay pay-per-view money or other subscriptions that they need, the people in the chat who wake up at 6:30.
Who woke up at 6:30.
I mean, apologize.
Yes.
And not just with words, but with performances. And state your case. State the fact that you maybe are not up to par with what we're expecting. And that you will try your utter best and whatever. But don't come out with these bland things. The same for Spalletti. Oh, yeah, I tried something. It didn't work. You have 90 minutes, my man. You should have changed things in minute number 10 already. I mean, and then, to come out and say, man, we tried, but we failed. I get it if you fail. I don't mind failing, but at least try for 100%. Not just say, man, we gave 50%, wasn't good enough. The other 50, we'll save it up for later. I mean, what kind of what kind of dumbfounded, message even is that to everybody who's involved with Juventus? That's literally saying to us, hey, we're waking up at 6:30, spending your money, having stomach cramps after such a performance. F you guys. That's what they're basically saying, because there's nothing to build upon from what they say or what they do. It's all so chaotic and messy and no line in it whatsoever. It's frustrating. Really, honestly, I get upset and angry just talking about it.
Yeah, I asked for last night. I asked for one thing. I wanted them to come out and not be wimps, right? I said use some other language, but just go out and show some heart. Win, lose, or draw. You lose 2-1, but you hit the post. You're working hard. You're 9 shots on target, a bunch of saves. Fine. 2-2 tie, whatever it was, but you showed some heart. You're running back to clear a ball off the line. You're helping your defenders. You're dropping in to collect the ball to turn around and try and play to make something happen in the channel or out wide. Great. Saw none of that. And I think at some point I said to our group, we have 11 wimps out on the field. And Fred, you corrected me, 12, right? Including Spalletti, right? Because that change should have happened a hell of a lot sooner. It was absolutely falling apart in the first, 12 to 15 minutes for everyone to see, and for him not to do something. I know there's all the pressure against making such early subs, but when something is not working to that degree and you see that kind of a poor performance put out on the field and Neres just eating Coop alive and Cabal, you have to do something. You have to, it's like watching a leak and just staring at it and not doing anything about it.
What I can't understand, because the logic doesn't compute in my small brain here, where you have a football manager who's been doing his craft for decades, and you have players who have been playing this game since they were young boys, and now this is their lives, and they get to live this amazing life playing a game and being entertainers and making millions. And this is all they have to focus on. And we can question Spalletti's choices, but he had a plan for this game. I think it in his comments that we just went through were indicative of that. If you're going through training and you have a plan where your midfield is going to press and maintain possession higher up the field, if your forwards are supposed to be being dynamic and not just holding to a certain side of the pitch and making runs from the midfield, and you know that Højlund is going to be the reference point, how do you then go into a game and your forwards are static? Your midfield hangs back. You leave Højlund unmarked in the box or you're not goal side of him. And I know we can McKennie shit dumb luck on that header. Like, obviously that's not what he was trying to do. But the fact is, Højlund and another Napoli player, I think McTominay was right behind him with nobody on him when the ball is crossed into the box. How do these professional players with a professional coach trying to approach a game, and then you go out onto the pitch and you seemingly forget everything?
Yeah, and
everything.
It starts.
Are they trying to just do their own thing? Are they incapable of taking instruction?
When I was, I think, 10 or 11 years old, we started, on the training ground with headers, where we would just, one player would throw the ball to another player and you needed to head it back into his hands. That was the basics. And our coach then came by and said, look, guys, if you're going in an aerial duel and you're in your own box, so a cross comes in, always had the ball out of play. You either do it by, taking it with the back of your head, pushing the ball behind, to the outline, or you just nod it to the side in a corner kick. Never, ever do it forwardly, because that'll leave players out of balance and it'll create, offensive action, which you don't want. And then you see McKennie, an effing professional player in Serie A, when a cross comes in, just doing this. That, for me, that's enough. Like, I take that player out. He won't play the rest of the season. I don't care. Even if I have to feel like a 17-year-old. But if a player does that in such a game that is one of the most blatant technical errors you can think of in professional football as a whole, and you do that, I mean, that is. I'm sorry. My wife does not know anything about football, and she said when Chico took that shot on goal in first half, which landed at the Vesuvius somewhere, she said, "Oh, if that was Dybala, because she has a thing for Dybala, it'd be on target." And she's right. She's just right. Dybala, even in his dying moments at Juventus, hitting a shot outside of the box 9 times out of 10 would at least be on target. We can't even manage that. And it was at that point when I saw that ball heading down to Mount Vesuvius that I thought we're never going to win this game. Because if you have a moment that you get to the box of the opponents, which was already half a miracle for us, and you fail to be threatening by shooting the ball on target, then there's no hope. There's absolutely
Is there anything
no
that
hope.
better sums up if there is a moment that sums up the state of this team when there was a cross that came in and the ball was high in the box and Locatelli tried to do his best Cristiano Ronaldo impression with the overhead scissor kick, comes off the side of his foot, almost goes out for a throw in. Somehow we keep it. And then Kostic crosses the ball off of his own foot. Just that sequence right there. It's a clown car. Just total goat rodeo. And we've got someone here in the comment thread saying, what advice you give to young fans who are losing hope listening to the commentary here. I assume you're talking about our commentary. Just makes the despair 100 times worse. And I apologize. I wish there were more exciting things to talk about. This is a club where I give a meaningful portion of the energy in my life, and I'm in a job and working 60, 70 plus hours a week. I've got a 1 and a 2-year-old kid. I try to be a good husband and father, and there's a lot of other good stuff going on. And still, with the very little time I have in my life, it goes to this. It goes to Juventus. I've got work. I've got family. I work out occasionally in Juve. Like, that's my life. And but I get to spend it with great people here, and I truly enjoy what the Turin Giants community and the broader Juve community gives me. And thank you again to the people listening and people in the chat here. But it's frustrating, and to young fans, I think, to answer the question directly, if you're passionate about something, you'll continue to follow it. And that's, I think, where I'm sick in the head. And that's why I'm going to continue to do it. But I do know, I think, Frederic, for the rest of the season, I've got to lower my expectations a bit and just understand that we are looking at a 7th to 8th, 9th place team based on the players we have, the skill that we have, and the mental fortitude that we have, and the way that the club is being run. And if we can sniff European football, we should be grateful for that, because honestly, we need it from a financial perspective. But we, right now, with what we've seen, we don't deserve it. And we shouldn't be expecting it rationally.
No.
So
Conference League at best. And we're bringing a knife to a gunfight in every game. We are so, like, we don't even think about being dangerous. We don't feel dangerous, not when countering, not when taking a corner kick, not when taking a free kick, not when, doing quick 1-2s up the field. We don't feel like the threat is not there. And I'm going to say something, and Zach couldn't be here today. Just want to salute him from afar and thank him for all the things he's done. I'm going to go once again into Zach, because I thought this true. Bring back Agnelli, please. Bring back Agnelli. I know I'm not the one that wants to go back into history, but at least with Agnelli, I know that that's a person who's going to be in charge, who genuinely loves this club and goes to sleep with a knot in his stomach if he sees performances like this, and will be the first one to tell the players and the coach that this is just not acceptable. At least that, let alone some awful decisions concerning financial transfers, whatever. At least somebody with a black and white heart who can put and pump something into these veins, because we're on life support as a team and as a club. And if is Agnelli, the best thing to happen to Juventus since like forever? I don't think so. Will he revive us? I honestly do, because this is just, we're bleeding out here. We've slit the wrists. We're through the veins, and we're just waiting, for the slow death. I mean, I don't know.
I would, sorry, Fred. I would address that, Kevin. I think it was Sarah, right? I think it was Sarah's question about what we say to fans.
Yeah.
I would address. There you go. I would address that point and fold in what Fred's saying by saying one thing. I don't sit down every weekend to support the individual players per se, or to support the coach. I love this club, right? This was the club that my grandfather got me into football watching, right? Was this club, and then my local club is Pescara, right, where I'm from Abruzzo, right? So I don't necessarily support these players. And I think with the long history that this club has, we have to continue to believe that they're able to turn it around. And that's where people start to pull on those threads on the sweater that say Agnelli should come back, right? Because that's what he represents. And I understand that sentiment. Right after Calciopoli came in with a couple seventh place finishes, he stepped up. We had those amazing 9 years. I also think that clouds our perspective a bit, those 9 years in a row. But I don't know that that's the answer. I would support it because I'm a supporter of Juventus, and I think that he does represent some of the best years of the club. But I also don't want to forget that it was his short-sightedness. And yes, it was a desire to have the club grow on a global scale that, coupled with COVID, that put us in the financial situation that perpetuates the spiral that we find ourselves in now. So I'm not a no Agnelli, no way, never, but I'm a tread carefully, because I think it's the history of our club and what he represents that has people calling his name now, or saying we need to go back to being that Juve. We also have to grow, right? We have to be progressive as a new club as well. Clubs that grow and change with the times are the clubs that sustain and they have long life, right? The clubs that try to keep their heels cemented in sand, ground in cement, and don't make moves forward, they seem to struggle more. And we see that happening a bit in France. And you see clubs in the EPL who constantly are first division or championship and then Premier League, right? They do the same thing. We don't want to become some of those clubs. I don't have to say names. We're on our way.
Yeah.
What do we need, Kev? What do we need? Do we need Agnelli to come back? Do we need what is like what would be the first thing you do if you rub a bottle, Genie comes out and says, "Hey, you can fix Juventus"? What's the first thing that you would do?
So you have to look at it like, I'm going to look at it through a business lens. And I think even in the most recent board of directors meetings, or one of the meetings that preceded that, there was some statement, and Fred, you're on top of these things, so maybe you can correct me. Someone made a comment of, we need to get Juventus back to where they should be from a sporting perspective, but we also want this to represent more of this like entertainment brand and be this kind of lifestyle thing that's driving a good business beyond the sporting element. And what I think is missing clearly through all of this is, you earn the right to have that broader picture play out if you put a good product on the pitch, right? If we are winning and you have a well-constructed team with a well-thought-out strategy with the right people, and you have a winning approach, then you earn the right where all of the social media gimmicks, all of Adidas's 17th version of some special shirt that they put out midway through the season, right? Like this stuff builds upon itself. Now it all just seems completely forced and shitty and taking our money and not connected to the product that's going out on the pitch. So if you're going to do that, it starts with people. And if you look at it through a business lens, you can't expect to get different outcomes by doing the same things over and over again. So it does come down to people. And if Comolli's the right person, then he's got to put his, I'm going to hold back on some of my words. He's got to put his team together. We've been talking about a sporting director for how many months now? It's going to take people. There's a message here in the YouTube chat. We need someone like Buffon back in a similar role. Like, would I love to have Buffon back in the club? Sure. Right. Like that's probably a net positive, but that doesn't turn this around. You need people in the right jobs that know what the heck that they're doing to bring in, to scout correctly, to buy players correctly, to sell correctly, to train correctly. If you don't have the right people, then none of this will change. And if Comolli is that guy, aside from a couple hard negotiations over the course of this summer, I'm not seeing it right now. I am not seeing it. And I'm very let down. And like the line of work that I'm in, it's that if you are driving transformation of businesses, of teams, you can't do it without change of people. Things don't just magically change. So are we going to win with the squad? Never. But we're also not going to win with the management structure and what goes throughout the rest of the organization. And if Agnelli's the guy to come in and drive that change, amazing. If Comolli's it, I'd rather it be that because he's actually here right now. But if he's not that guy, then you'd have to change that. But whatever Elkin is doing to Juventus, what he's doing to Ferrari, what he's doing to Stellantis, I don't know.
Listen, if I was,
I don't think I'm answering your question well, Frederic. I'm just ranting.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was a perfect answer, and I think Jack wanted to say something about your answer as well, Jack.
No. I just wanted to say if Agnelli is in the middle of a contract negotiation tonight, didn't go well for me. I'm not driving home from that stadium or whatever. No.
He's like, what the heck am I doing here? Trying to go from the 4.5 to 5 million offer. Is that worth his time?
Start from scratch. Who doesn't need to come back, right? Weston's on the last season of his contract. Vlahovic, last season of his contract. Start over.
Yeah, but the thing is, who are you going to start over with? And that's my issue. And that's why I, take this back to Agnelli, because on the episode of The Scoop, I think I spoke about it with Zach, that we have around 75 million getting, free from the books this summer, which is a lot of money because you can use that money to fund transfers. But if you don't have confidence in the people that you're going to bring in, or the people that need to bring people in, then, we could easily spend 750 million. Whereas if it were Agnelli in that regard, I'd feel more confident because I know what he wants to achieve long term. And, I know what vision he has and that he needs or wants quality in that side. With Comolli, that's a big question mark because I started out being very positive about Comolli. But as we progress, as we're in the month of December already, I haven't seen him in front of a camera after game, pre-game, whatever. I haven't seen him taking any accountability whatsoever. And sources in Juventus that I'm in contact with also say, Comolli wasn't at the office today or whatever. It all seems to fade away. Whereas in Agnelli, he literally said, I have to be at 7:00. He couldn't bring his kids with the nanny to daycare because he wanted to be in by 7. He wanted to greet the kid guys and the cleaners before they came in. If you, as a boss of a conglomerate that is Juventus, have that mentality, that spreads across the whole team, the whole squad. Without even saying things, Agnelli brings forth that mentality, that motivation, that eagerness, that will to win, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not feeling it right now. And as a supporter, I think you need to feel that and feel confident and feel supported or comforted, and have that light at the end of the tunnel kind of feeling, even in bad moments, because we had bad moments under Agnelli as well. But somehow you could see that there was, a shift taking place. You could just feel it by the things that he was planning to do, whether it being the stadium, La Continassa, all these things
Next
that,
gen, the women's team.
Yeah,
just like there's vision.
It was a vision,
right?
the vision,
Yeah.
and that vision isn't there. So players come out and they feel like they're paycheck slaves, if I could call it like that. We do our job, we get paid, that's it. We F off, we go home. Win, draw, lose, no matter what. Whereas, in the other era, you had those players coming in like, we're Juventus. I'm proud of what we're building. I'm proud of my president. I'm proud of my teammate. I'm proud of the things that we're trying to achieve, even though sometimes some days it's a bit easier than others, but we're here as a team, starting from top to bottom.
That's leadership with a vision, and having the spine of your leadership all understanding what your vision is and working together. That's leadership in the C-suite. That's leadership in the management structure, understanding where you want to go. That's leadership in the locker room. And I'm not talking about the coach. The team so often, and teams I've coached are the same way. The team so often reflects the mindset and the attitude of the captain that represents them. The captain's armband isn't a fascia. It's not something you just put on your arm, because you're the one that's allowed to talk to the referee. Our team, when Del Piero or Buffon was captain, was professional. They were hardworking. They set themselves with very high expectations, and they held themselves to a standard, and they wanted to make a difference and make the club grow. When we had Chiellini as captain, there was that little bit of extra grita, right? They would bite you to win. I remember Evra, how he used to play. Mandzukic, we often laud Mandzukic. Mandzukic was Mandzukic because of the captain he had pushing him the whole time. I don't care which coach he had. Every year we had Mandzukic, he was playing the same way. And that was his playing style, but also the other players around him who were motivating him. We lack leadership from top to bottom. So
we don't have a player who can touch 10% of the energy and passion that Mandzukic brought to the pitch.
So, if we had Mandzukic and the game ended like it ended today, there'd be a bloodbath in the dressing room. There'd be a genuine bloodbath. He wouldn't stand for that. But neither would a player like Vidal, a player like Montero, a player like Nedved, a player like Trezeguet. They just wouldn't stand for that. And they lost as well. They went to Serie B. So they had their ups and downs with Juventus as any other player, even more so in certain clubs has, but they still put out that effort, that passion, that mentality. And it all started from top. It's as simple as that.
At a loss of words on kind of how to continue the conversation, because
I'm going to save you.
No, but shifting from this to like, let's talk about Chico's performance, just like doesn't make sense at this point. Right?
No, but
it's just like you look at the scope of what we saw today. Like clearly, this is just just a beautiful. I say that ironically, a beautiful example that just summarizes the state of the club.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you just everything that we've just talked about puts this on the pitch, where you have underperforming players, a poorly put together squad, players without the mentality or the leadership, a coach who comes in, tries to do a job, tries to play a system that we question whether it was the right one, the wrong one, but he tried something, and the players are unable to do it, and soft, making up excuses. And if you can't rise to the occasion of what Juventus Napoli means, particularly with everything that went into this particular spectacle that went into it, and you can't, and that doesn't give you the fire to come out and play, like just what hope is there? I just had it confirmed that I'm going to be able to go to Juve Lecce on January 3rd. Like what the heck? Like
you might get to see a draw. I mean,
oh my goodness, it's just how to get myself excited. I mean, obviously, I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to go to the stadium and be in the city and see some people I care about and get to watch. And I know not everybody has that opportunity, and I don't want to seem ungrateful, but it's just in context of what I believe we should be capable of and what this club represents and means to all of us. It's just sad.
The club and the team lack any form of consistency from top to bottom. So over the past week and a half or so, I think with Beppe and maybe on one of the prior episodes we were talking about, with a win in Napoli, are we Scudetto contenders? Right. So we got way too high, starting to think about the positive, but I also think we should acknowledge that we could kind of be in the dumps right now, right? Fred, you referred to this as a therapy session, right? The sky also isn't falling. This team is capable of any kind of stupid result. We could also come out and beat Bologna and Roma in the next couple of weeks, and then I'm sure we'll be swinging the other way again. The entire season is going to be this pendulum back and forth, I feel like, between positive negative outcomes and dragging our emotions on that roller coaster ride along with it.
And I think because I know like my blood pressure is going up and I can see in the image that my face is getting red. But if I step back for a moment and actually look at the standings, despite everything that's gone on right now, we are still only 4 points off of the fourth place spot. With we've been fortunate that other teams have also not risen to the opportunities that they've been presented. This is a strange campionato and a strange edition of Serie A. But Jack, I think you're right. I mean, there's a lot of games left to be played. There's every chance of maybe scraping our way there, but it's going to require better performances than what we've seen recently.
I'm not sure if I want it to end that way. If I'm being totally honest, I'm not sure if I want it, because imagine if we, by some miracle, get fourth place, then you'll have a lot of people in charge thinking, hey, our objectives are met. We did well. Why should we reflect on what went wrong? I mean, we did well. I mean, in December, we were like 6th or 7th, and now it's the end of the season. We got 2 players that have no relevance in January who performed fairly well. Let's give them a new contract because, hey, we reached Champions League spot. Let's get the money in and see what we can do in the Champions League. I'd rather have us fall flat down on our face, and maybe having somebody like Alcon saying, well, hold up. Maybe I made the wrong decision again, as I did in Stellantis, as I did at Ferrari. Maybe it's time for me, to pass the stick to somebody who can be in charge of this full time, has some knowledge, has people around him who can support him in that role, and leave it be. And I'm not saying, sell the club or anything, but just, give up some shares or let other people decide on what you want to do, because it's clear that it's not working. And I don't want to be premature, because Kamoli can still save the season or whatever, or try to salvage the season. But maybe we need like a massive shift. And maybe we just need to hit that reset button fairly quickly and at least know beforehand that we're going to face like 2-3 seasons where we won't compete for anything, but we're building on something. We have a determined vision. We have an outline, the bigger picture type of thing like Agnelli had. And then I'm fine with that. But, the being stuck in limbo, for me, that's exhausting, because we're not a good team. We're not a team that you can build on. Because if we have to be honest and we want to compete next year, then at least 8 or 9 players will have to leave and be replaced. And maybe we should suffer. Maybe we should suffer and get to the depths of hell before we can reach the top again. Because now we're stuck in limbo. And to me, that's exhausting.
So I'm going to turn the page on this match. Something that sucked the energy out of all of us, or at least any positive energy. We're full of some negative kind of fiery energy right now. We know that, and I think we can all embrace and accept that this squad and this team is not it. This is not a Scudetto. It's a team that has any possibility of having Scudetto ambitions. We know this is not just the fault of the coach, even though that we have a lot of questions and concerns about how this match was approached and managed. Clearly, the issues go much deeper, and we've been saying that all season, if not for multiple seasons, and we've spent a lot of time talking about it on this episode. But we go forward, and there's a match on Wednesday, and despite the three of us and our dear friends here in the chat, and those of you who have tuned in either later on YouTube or for the podcast, despite lowering your expectations potentially, despite not wanting to get as worked up, I know when we turn the next match on, you're still going to want to see a win, and you're still going to cheer for the club, right? Like, that is the reality, right? This will simmer down a little bit. Jack, what do you want to see against Paphos? What do you want to see when we have the Champions League game on Wednesday?
The two things that we're missing today, a clear idea from the coach to continue building on what he seemed to establish in the first few games, which was some continuity that we saw bear some fruit, and then something from the players. Just give a shit, right? Go out there and play, right? They have to come out and do something. You know, if Spalletti turns the page and learns from this and we never see this false nine set up again, fine. I'll chalk it up to he tried something that didn't work out and he learned and he moved on. But again, we've seen how many coaches, and we're putting the same players on the field, similar results. But I tend to try to find the silver lining, and I'd like to see 3 points in the Champions League launch us into the next two very challenging Serie A games that can help our season a bit. I'm always the not making it the Champions League, Fred, to me is the double-edged sword, right? Yes, I understand the years in limbo, I'm with you, are very, very frustrating. And I'd like to see the steady building to move up to being competitive again. But I would like to see this team make fourth place. I don't want to see Yildiz walk out the door. Right? I don't want to be fighting for 6th and 7th place every year. Could his sale end up being a Zidane-esque kind of sale? We don't know. No one can predict the future. But that's something I'm not ready for yet. Maybe that's just me personally. Right?
No, and on that specific point, do you have any faith that we have the ability to scout and find the right players to turn that into a Zidane level sale? Like, what would you trust this team to do with 100 million euros? I think that's yeah, exactly.
It's hopefully a rhetorical question. I do see some promise within the youth setup, right? We hear a couple of names come up now and then. You know, I know very few of them make it. But I do think when you look at the last few years and the players that we've sold, we had potential. We had from Kingsley Coman to Dean Huijsen to everyone in between. You know, the last 6-7 years, we've had some talent come up and just not stick with us. We weren't able to keep them, whether it's we weren't able to convince the players sportingly or financially, or we needed the finances. There were players we had who showed promise and then reached a level where they had a positive impact on the teams that they ended up on, and we let them all go for financial gain, that's the other side of the sword to not making Champions League, right? It makes that situation worse. So,
Frederic, same question. We've got 3 matches before the Christmas holiday. If I know not everybody celebrates it, but just like as a milestone, there are 3 games leading up to that: Paphos, Bologna, and Roma. Same question. What do you want to see change?
I'm just looking at the next game. And I think that's for my mental health, the best thing I can do this season. So I'm just focusing in on Paphos right now. And the only thing I want to see against Paphos is determination. I don't care about the technical side of things. I don't care about the formation side of things. I just want to see 11 players on the pitch who from the first minute say to each other, we're going out with a win, no matter what it takes, no matter what we need to do, no matter how much we need to run, tackle, shoot, press. I don't care, but we're coming out of this game with 3 points. We owe that to not only ourselves, but the people watching, maybe even management, and especially Juventus. Because if we get those 3 points, then I think it's fair to say that it's 80 to 85% certainty that we'll reach the next stage of the Champions League, which will help us gain financial track. And I think this is like one of the biggest Christmas gifts that we as a club could get. And it's something that the players can reward the club with in exchange for the faith and the confidence we put in them, because they're very happy that we don't have a curva that's mainly from Turin itself, like Milan does or Inter does, because there would have been riots already. So the players can kiss um, their both hands every day. Make it work this time. Make it worth our while. Give something back to us. It's about damn time too.
The most important thing you said there, Fred, is your entire comment about the team, about the club, about the players was all grounded in we. Whereas that's the problem. It's what Locatelli needs to do. It's how Coop needs to improve. It's what Spalletti's idea. There's too many eyes. I know it's stupid and cliche about the no eye.
No, it isn't.
Right, but
It
even
isn't.
leadership, even
spot on.
In my job, in my perfect world, every message I send to people I work with, whether it's a team, individual team I'm working with, or the entire staff, everything is we. We have goals. We have work to do. We have this. It's never I or I need you, right? It's always we. And so you encapsulated that really well by saying this is what we need to do, what we need to give the fans, how we bring people back to the stadium, how we put asses in seats, and how we start winning games.
Thank you. Spot on.
So I think we will conclude our post game there. Frederic, Jack, always a pleasure. Thank you both. And Frederic, I know it's well past midnight where you are, so thanks for hanging on in the dying minutes of your Sunday evening, now Monday morning. So
Very much
appreciate it.
so. With lots, and I would like to thank the people, in chat as well, and the people that are listening to us at Pod, because it really makes a difference to us. Like we do this freely out of love for Juventus, and also because we like each other. Let's not get it twisted, because we formed, in my opinion, a nice and good bond over the past time. And it's very rewarding to see people enjoy that, take time off to invest in us or our podcasts and the things we do in order to get this done. So a shout out to you guys as well, because you are basically the heart, soul, and lungs of Turin Giants and everything that surrounds Turin Giants. So I think, with all the negativity aside, I need to, reflect upon that and thank you guys for, helping us out as well. And I really feel appreciated every time I see the chat or see people replying in DMs or hitting up Zach or Kevin or whatever. I really enjoy that. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, I'll echo the same. Thank everybody out there in the chat, especially now that I sit here and reflect for a moment as we're thanking the people who are listening, whoever it was who said they got up at 6:30 in the morning to watch the game. I can't believe that happened, because it's very easy to lose perspective. If 6:30, if this is how I started my day, I would be really upset about the rest of my Monday. Right? Likewise, Fred, for you, like this is the bookend on the other end. Like, how am I ending my day like this? And now I'm going to bed. So maybe I'm a little bit spoiled and, living on the East Coast of the United States. There was a middle of the afternoon game, and I had the morning to get myself mentally prepared, and the evening now to open a bottle of wine and let it marinate and settle so I can move on with myself. So all that to say thank you to everybody in the chat, no matter what time zone you're in, for joining us. The reason Fred can open up this session as a therapy session is because all of you out there are the therapists, and you do all the listening, and you help us out with your comments, and you really bring us back to earth and center us for what are the next 3 important games. So thanks to everybody out there, and always a pleasure joining you guys, Fred and Kevin. Thanks.
Here. I can't add anything else to that. You guys captured that perfectly. So we will be with you after Paphos. We will have another live game or post-match live here, along with a corresponding podcast. As you guys said, we need to go out and show aggression. We need to show some just drive and determination, and we need that win. So on that, fino alla fine, and forza Juve.
occasioni per Neves.